Right here in this picture is the entrance to a significant mining operation. It's hidden from view, right in plain sight. And in version 10, protecting your precious resources is more difficult than ever. So I'm going to show you how to create a mine that's super easy to create, has great accessibility, and something no one will probably ever find. So I'm going to show you how to create this mine, talk about why it's important in version 10, and give you several more subtle tips on how to keep it hidden. This certainly isn't the only way to hide a mining entrance, but it is ideal for the highly sought after iron ore that becomes a critical resource needed in high quantities on every server, particularly long-running servers. Now, you're going to need a couple things: something to hold your ore like a wooden cart, a shovel and pickaxe, some hewn logs, a single stack of 15 will do, a tiny stockpile, don't get greedy and use a larger one, and a rock drill. The rock drill is available early in the game, just about the same time that smelting gets unlocked, which is when you'll need the iron ore, obviously. Next, go out into the desert, and ideally a little bit away from anyone's homestead. Iron is everywhere in the desert, so one place is as good as another. But you do want to think a little bit about what your exit strategy might be regarding the topography, because you will want to load up and carry your big haul of iron ore out of there. You also want a way in and out without placing any ramps. I picked an area near the shore and was going to use my transport boat, but you could use a cart or whatever you got. Start drilling and testing the ground with the drill looking for ore. You're looking for something that shows a few layers of ore. Even if it's just 1 or 2 layers, that's okay. What you want to do is move 6 or 7 blocks in some direction and drill again, because that ore deposit can get larger and it's best to find it near its thickest point. Once you've drilled around and found a good spot with several layers, it's time to get busy on the mine entrance. Before doing anything, place and label a personal map marker right on the block where you're going to start digging. And start digging a hole, just 2 blocks wide. That's it. And put the dirt and sand in your cart. Don't use a stockpile. You'll see why in a minute. Once you've dug as far as your shovel can reach, start placing the hewn logs in ladder form on one side of the hole and use the ladder to climb down. Dig, and then go back up to dump the dirt in your cart. As you dig down, add more hewn log ladders, and keep going until you hit the ore. At this point, you'll want to try to mine just the ore at your feet and carry those first stacks of 20 up the ladder and into the cart. Your first objective here is to hollow out an area of mined ore that's 2 by 2 wide and 3 tall to fit your tiny stockpile. See? I told you not to get greedy. If you need to remove another block or 2 to fit it in, that's fine, because you'll want this first tiny stockpile to be fairly close to the surface, so it's within reach of the cart to easily transfer your ore up to the surface. To be precise, you can have 12 blocks of space between the top of the stockpile and the cart, so you want to keep that in mind. Now, just keep mining. Add hewn logs to the ladders as needed, and filling the tiny stockpile. When it's full, you open the stockpile and move all its contents to the surface cart with a shift-click drag. Now, while I continue to mine this ore, I'm going to cover a couple things that are important about this type of mine in version 10. First is the shape of the ore deposits. The way ore is deposited in eco-generated worlds has changed a few times over the few years of releases, and currently in version 10, ore is deposited in what I can only describe as nodes. This is different than the last previous eco-deposition model, which was more in layers. It's one reason why poking around with the drill some on the surface until you find a thicker layer of ore is good. It means you're probably going to dig near the center of the node, and will be more near the top of the node, so that first tiny stockpile is near enough to the surface. Keeping your mine entrance secret has nothing to do with stealing someone else's resource, and everything to do with version 10 land claims. In version 10, you only get 16 homestead land claims, and all your homestead land claims need to be connected to each other. This is true if you're a citizen in a settlement being given extra claims, or a non-citizen of any settlement getting the new homestead land claims that settlements can give out or sell. Homestead land claims have to be connected to each other. And I'm not going to talk about the various exploits and bugs folks have found to create remote second homesteads. It's a known problem. So this means you'll be unable to claim your mine area or even its entrance if it's not within your homestead claim area, which you may want in some other location like a convenient town center for trade. These remote mine sites are vulnerable to others coming in and raiding your ore, so hiding your mine becomes even more critical. The other nice thing about this mine entrance is that it is very easy and fast to create. You spend minimal effort over creating a long sloping ramp, which I have liked in the past, and is even easier than digging some kind of stair-step scheme to run up and down. You dig straight down, taking the shortest path. And because these ore deposits come in nodes now, when the node is mined out, you go look for the next one. Now that I've mined over half this node, and I've made more than one trip here and pulled out about 1,000 ore, you can see the node-like shape. I suspect the node will bottom out and end about 3 or 4 more layers down. But to make this mine truly a secret like you saw in the opening shot, there's a couple more things you need to do. Once you're done with a given mining trip, remove the top 2 blocks of ladders. You actually don't need these because when you climb up a ladder, you're able to jump up and out from the last 2 blocks. Take 2 of your hewn logs, like the 2 you might have just removed, and put them in cube form and place them at the second block below the surface to block off the hole. Then take 2 dirt blocks from the desert, not sand, and fill back in the last 2 blocks. Now, at first, those 2 blocks will look like dirt, but in a short amount of time, the desert will reclaim that dark dirt and turn it back into desert sand. At that point, your mine entrance is completely concealed until you return. Remember that mine marker I had you place before you started digging? That will allow you to come right back to the exact spot, dig out the 2 blocks, remove the 2 hewn logs underneath, and resume mining. No one else will see this, and you've left no trace that you've even been here. If there are any ore rocks that teleported up to the surface while you were mining, be sure to collect those up as they are a giveaway that someone's been digging underground in this area. Also remember when I said to use a cart or maybe a truck on the surface and don't place down a stockpile? Using a stockpile will leave a big dark dirt square behind. And even though it too will eventually be covered by the desert sands, it's bigger and more noticeable than just the 2 squares of your hole, and will take a lot longer to disappear. I used a stockpile on the beach to do my final transfer of ore from the cart to the transport ship, because beach sand won't change color like the desert sand, which is actually treated more like dirt in the game. One factor with the new settlements is that a town, county, or federation could pass a law that protects mines in their area of influence or prevents mining in some way, but those may or may not be in place, or cover the areas you want to mine. This secretive mining method is so quick and so simple, it's a great way for anyone to do a little mining, earn some extra cash, and vary their game a little bit. Assuming your server has a good economy where even folks like miners and smelters still have buy orders available to supplement their own mining. But even if you're a miner and digging your own ore to crush and sell to smelters, this is a quick way to get started. And I think it's even efficient enough to do long-term well into a playthrough. That may change when skid steers and excavators come into play, but I almost think the node nature of ore deposits might make those pieces of equipment better for digging clay and shale, limestone, leveling roads, and that sort of thing. But we'll see. I'm still exploring and investigating the version 10 features and getting ready for the live season of Dad Speed version 10 coming shortly. And you can play Eco and join the server too with a free copy of Eco I'm giving away during the month of January. To enter, just use the phrase secret mine in a comment on this video to be eligible for a random drawing I'll do at the end of the month. Hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed this look at a clandestine mining operation. And I'll be talking to you later.